Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be tackling episodes 13 and 14 of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Very excited to be here, continuing the journey into this next core, into this next set of episodes. So yeah, as explained last week, there's a 3-month gap between what we saw last time and what we're seeing here today. This should bring new things. new characters, new opportunities, new storylines, just a bunch of new stuff. Please look forward to it. Again, we still have some dangling storylines from last time, obviously. This whole Soletta murder direction, probably not great. We have the whole Jaturk stuff. Again, kind of great. I didn't like the guy, but he probably shouldn't have died by his own son's hand. That's probably pretty rough. Yeah, there's definitely storylines with the 3 different families going on that need to be addressed as well as the central Delling, Prospera, Soletta, Miorine thing, so looking forward to it. Starting here, we have our solitary YouTube comment here today from Kasogtha. I say solitary, but it's pretty long, so we'll break this one down piecemeal and address the ideas presented as they come up. I think some people in the Discord elaborated on this as well, but definitely they're all based on the same kind of model set, the Elthrith stuff, right? All based upon the pre-production models as seen in the prologue. And again, if we do the etymology of the word Elthrith, it is derived from Gandalf, which is like literally Gandalf, well, what Gandalf's based off of as well. And we're associating a lot of that stuff with elves. Elves is an interesting one, and again, I'm attaching this very much into this general kind of fantasy kingdom medieval thing we have going on, right? And again, you guys have seen stories before. You have the kind of human kingdoms equivalent, that kind of stuff, right? And you have the elves off to the side, often trodden upon, often in tune with nature, very much so as well, and looking to take out the king by any means necessary to protect what they have. But again, I think you can apply this pretty easily to the Earthian side of things, right? Like, we're literally embodying these suits that have a word association with elves in the process of killing what is, you know, essentially the king. After, again, one other kind of subject of the court or whatever goes to them for their help, right? That being Shadiq in that case. I think that's neat. I think that's a cool connection, which we should keep in mind, kind of associating Earthians with an elf-type medieval story equivalent, I guess. The other very obvious one we have here is The Tempest. I should probably read it at some point, probably just the Spark Notes, but still, maybe after the fact. I don't want to spoil myself if I don't know the story of The Tempest and on what may potentially be happening here, right? But yeah, we specifically gone into Ariel here, and Ariel's association, or literal meaning, which is Lion of God, which is the name of the spirit serving under Prospero in The Tempest. And again, you have your equivalent here, right? Ariel, the mobile suit, serving under Prospera. Or under Soletta, we'll say. Who's ultimately in control there, I guess. And more so in the same camp, we have more etymology stuff with both and Thorn. Thorn, again, pretty obvious as we say here. But here we're associating more with like rain or drizzle or that kind of stuff. Which again, you can definitely talk to with your kind of Earthian nature, environmentalism theme stuff, I think. Somebody also brought up the fact that is also the name of like the first city on Earth. I think that's generally like considered a thing, so maybe that's something as well. The progenitor, something like that. And yeah, out of the naming stuff, now we have a little bit more character stuff with Soletta and Prospera and stuff, which is suspect. I found these match cuts as well. After you mentioned it, put them up on screen here. Again, this one's pretty obvious. We're trying to say that Soletta may be embodying kind of aspects of Prospera in her actions at the very end of episode 12 there. Again, obvious stuff as I went into last week, kind of stepping onto the blood there, embracing that side of it. Murder is okay, if the ends justify the means. Interesting, I'm talking about very similar stuff with Tanya the Evil at the moment as well. When is kind of murder and when is killing another justified and when is that okay? Because again, we make the argument down here at the very bottom. Like, yeah, murder is bad, but there was literally like a military guy pointing a gun at Miorine and Delling. So it's like trolley problem stuff, right? If I don't do something right now and kill old mate, then literally those 2 people over there are going to die. Not even taking into account the association that I have with one of them, which is tantamount to a wife. Again, fair enough for Miorine's reaction there of being like, oh shit, murder actually isn't a good time. It's actually a bad time. And again, probably Soletta's lack of emotional reaction there upon the murder and slipping over in the mud and being all ditzy and stuff probably didn't come off as great, but what choice did she have? She was in a giant robot. She just kind of crushed him. Like, what else are you supposed to do, I guess? I think the more interesting aspect of that is the kind of, why does Prospera want Delling alive type stuff? And this Quiet Zero type idea, I guess. Which, for all these kind of rhetorical questions here, I'm probably just going to leave a lot of that to the show to uncover for me, instead of pontificating on stuff like that, I guess. But I am clocking that it is interesting that Delling was so kind of vehemently against Vanitas and what they wanted to do, and is now using basically like aerial data for whatever he's got planned now, right? So again, was this the entire plan the entire time to get to this point in the here and now, right? Did he just see the future and see the vision and knew what he had to do again in the here and now to get to here? And how does dead wife Norette, I believe was the name, how does that impact this kind of stuff as well? This stuff about permit score here as well, I'm keeping it in mind, that's all I'll say. In Delling's defense, why the hell aren't you in a spacesuit is pretty... He's missing the forest for the trees. They're both in caring about his daughter, but he needs to demonstrate it in a less roundabout tsundere dad kind of way. He just needs to say, oh my god, I'm glad you're safe. Now get a spacesuit on so you can be even safer. Something like that. It's just a framing problem, I guess. And yeah, like, my implication from last week, or at least the vibe that I got, was... for some reason, Delling and his wife were in a me or you die type situation, and she had to die, or she chose to die, maybe. So, like, does that make Delling the bad guy? Is that why he's twisted and jaded in the here and now? That's the vibe that I got. Again, we're going to let the story do its thing, of course. I also saw a good bit of discussion about this, I believe, on the Discord as well. Or somewhere else. I don't know where I saw it. But physical ammunition. So Earthians using physical ammunition and its dangers when it comes to space and that kind of stuff, right? It's pretty bad. You probably shouldn't use it. But the irony is that I think the Spacians, I think it's implied that they came down and like literally like ruined Earth. So what is us polluting like a small section of space to you polluting our entire world? Again, we saw it before. It was like post-apocalyptic and grim as fuck. We don't want to be there. So again, a little bit of tit for tat going on. We'll see where that ends up as well. The Guel storyline continues to go brr, so looking forward to seeing that continue as well. He is destined to be good guy at some point, I believe. The more interesting one for me is Shadiq. I want to see how Shadiq's dad reacts. I want to see if Shadiq is now cast aside. How does his orphan status play into that as well? Of course, he doesn't have any blood connection there, which again is something that at least every other character in the show does have a blood connection to their kind of adult associate, I guess, where Shadiq's just kind of made it on his own. And yeah, we've kind of already talked about the murder stuff. Interesting can of worms. There must be a better way than literally murdering each other for the sake of whatever else is going on. I think we must achieve a peaceful solution, in tune with the environment, of course, as well. Very peace and love type energy, I think, incoming. That's what I'm advocating for anyway. Either way, we'll leave the YouTube comments there, and we'll jump over to the Patreon and give them a shout out. Of course, if you wanted to be 1 week ahead and see next week's episode right now, you can jump onto Patreon. It's linked in the description. $6 a month gets you all videos on the channel 1 week early. So if you're particularly interested in Sayonara Zetsubou Sensei, or the other one, Tanya the Evil, of course. How could I forget? Then you could do that as well. It's all up there ready to go. Just click the button, I guess. Many people have clicked the button here, of course, such as Mickey Babbers, Trials++, AJ, Banana Ramahama Damasama, Bisa, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Christopher Konechny, Copley, Dapper Dwarf, Domobot, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Ferdinand Hernando, Fleur Nightingale, Fried Rice, Fruit, Fusel, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Hans Peter, Ika, Yako Yavanen, Jacob R, Jami Boo, Joran, Kosogtha, Kelvin, Clem, Nosta, Lasher840, Leal, Lick H, Lou, Master Detective, Mistake L Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Nico Lane, Parnick, Pencil Sharp 333, Ragashingo, Ronlad B&K, St. Lily, Sal, Sam1373, SGM Janus, Skeleton, The Lazy Panda Man, Waifu Overdose, Without a Net, Yuki Ali, Zach, Akomancer, Binchi, Voodoo Chili, and Backslash. Thank you to everybody for giving me money. I enjoy the money. We've kind of set ourselves up pretty well, and we're also jumping into a new core already, so I'm just going to let the show do what it's going to do, I guess. Probably a return to school. Oh, I forgot to address the Nika stuff as well. I believe that she has been outed as the imposter. She is sus, so consider the following going into the next episode, I guess, as well. But yeah, addressing the three families, addressing that kind of stuff, and addressing whatever this Quiet Zero thing is as well. Keeping all this in mind, going into episode 13 here. And yeah, let's just get that up now. Why not? Rightio, after actually downloading the episodes, which I hadn't done yet because I'm not very smart, we finally got episode 13 up there ready to go. 24 minutes and 8 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. That's the Judas file set, keeping with the same one here for the second core. And yeah, picture-in-picture version in the description below for those that need it. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio? 3, 2, 1. Go. Okay. School. Duel? That's Elan. Okay. Soletta's fighting. Group battle? Slay? Okay, so all these little freaks are here. Okay, which means that the others aren't here. Not a straight person in this room. That's crazy. Yeah, it's almost like he's a different person. Mambo number 5 himself. Ebony boss? Whatever you say, boss. Okay, we've got like a bridge of people helping us too. Okay, lock in, bro. Where's Miorine? Whenever Miorine isn't on screen, all the characters should be saying, "Where's Miorine?" Are we gonna get a new opening? That'd be cool. I'd be open to that. No, we're actually gonna duel here for a bit. Sure. Again, we must remember there's been 3 months between the airing of the last episode and this one, so we need to re-establish some stuff. And I think this is a good way to do that, just like a battle against some random guy. Re-establishment of status quo. Okay, so we're going around just murking people. I mean, this is hardly fair. Just like everyone back to back to back. But I guess Ariel isn't fair either. New look? I mean, I guess. Another $1 million to Ariel. Sick. I'll let the ball talk for me. Oh, I see how this is. Okay. I think I asked the question previously, like, what obligates somebody to duel? So it's nice that we have an answer there. At least not yet. I just do what I'm told. Don't think she's... Oh, opening. Do I know this voice? I think I do. iPhone commercial. Sassy Elan. Even sassier Shadiq. Let's say downtrodden Guel. Yeah, you too. I'm interested, of course. No, I don't. Who is Yama? Sounded like, Amir, you know who I'm talking about. The Fate one. She does all the stuff for Fate. Well, not all the stuff for Fate, but a lot of Fate stuff. And yeah, we'll have a closer look at all this stuff visually. Interesting. So yeah, seems like we're really zeroing in on that tomato stuff too. Interesting. Envoys from the Earth. Okay, interesting. Yeah, a little bit. I've always wanted to do a school festival. Well, yeah, you got attacked by proxy. Yeah, and you two know, right? Well, one of them definitely knows. And 2 weeks is our timeline there. As long as I'm here to crush them all, we'll be fine. Where's Miorino? Yeah, help. Okay, so she's been away this entire time. Punished. At least a little bit. Ooh. Okay. Businesswoman. That dad I hate, I'm taking care of him. Okay, no, man bun. I was gonna say haircut? Hmm. Two Gundams, yes, true. Hmm. Haha. Okay, so what I theorized was happening is happening. So do they know it's Earthians? Yeah. Cool. Scapegoat. When again, we just got told to do this because of that guy, really. Even lying to Dad. Now, I wonder if there's a character in the show that can expose him. I was like, why is he floating? I forgot that this show was in space. I was like, is he God? Okay, trustful mother. All the murder that I made you do? That murder, yep. There was no other way. It sure didn't seem like the right thing, Mum. Oh, honey. Oh, no. How do you feel about that? Ooh, not much. Yeah, I want to know more about that guy, too. He's just hanging around. You and me both. I might be implicit in some terrorism. Interesting. Gentle magician. Different to a witch. Yeah. So this is what I thought we were implying before. Evil child is here. Yeah. I ran out of time to say that this is where we were going. Yeah. Why are you here? Oh, yeah, you're technically part of this. I remember. Oh, they're creepy, creepy stuffed animals. Thank you, Onir-chan. Yeah, that'll do. That works as a cover story. So does Soletta not know? Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. At some point, Nika, you're gonna have to face that for whatever reason, you did have a place in this. So that's Aoi Yuki? Am I getting that right? Has range, sure. Alright, school festival. Like the music. So what's her deal? Why does she act like she's like fucked up and weird? What's wrong with her? What's her fucking problem? Oh, okay. Get shit on. Evil. Indeed. uh, what a freak. Thoughts? Okay, we're finally confronting this too. Hmm. Oh, is this the prosthetic again? Well, we need it. You were pretty shaken up before. Lilik. Ew. Wait, there's a Royal Rumble tomorrow? Where is Guel? I only know Bob. Also, don't let Sophie see these like people that call like Earthians. Like she'll mess them up. Like I'm serious. She's gone through some shit. Lay off her. Okay. Tokimeki? Of course. I mean, call it bravery or stupidity, but I wouldn't go straight up to them either. I guess you don't really have options. Damn. Okay, how you guys gonna explain this one? Good luck. I never run. Not exactly. Yeah, it's the conflict, guys. Come on. Okay. We'll just murder you. I don't think I'm gonna go. Vocals. Yeah, okay. I'm in. This ED's fucking cool as shit. It's very magical girl as well. Oh yeah. Now this is a 10 out of 10 ED, chat. If you aren't on this kind of type of timing, I don't want you to talk to me. Dude. I get to watch that every week? Let's go. Yeah. Talk to me. She's not wrong. I don't trust this freak, Prospera. Ooh, the zone. Oh, Zero, of course. I think I called it Quiet Zone last week too. Quiet Zero. Yeah, tell me what you really mean. Yeah, like... But what is it? It'll end war forever. Yeah, but like... What is it? Sure. I was ready to yap all through the ED, and then it was incredible. Tears were streaming down my face. So I didn't have a chance to yap. I guess I'll leave the yap for later. A lot to talk about, which is pretty obvious, I think, from everything going on. Nika fascinates me. Again, how did she even get involved here with Shadiq? I'll need to reread the dialogue there. Maybe there's something involved there. But, like, yeah, interesting one. We'll move on. Just episode 14 upcoming. Radio episode 14 up there ready to go. I have 89% on screen, which I don't know what that's about at all, really. Right there, as you can see. Freaking me out. But, yeah, either way, 24 minutes and 8 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly. Picture in picture. All the stuff I normally say. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio. 3, 2, 1. Go. Indeed. So are you going to elaborate on what Quiet Zero is? Lore. Well, they're pretty bad. What are you talking about? Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, again, and not your father's, also your mother's. Intriguing. So again, once again, my brain is operating at fucking negative 60% capacity. I think we're implying it's like a remote control thing whereby we can just control everything. Which is pretty epic. So which means that the person... the king of the company, Delling, it becomes tantamount to God, which means he can control everything and everybody at any point. And again, if you have one person in control, that means war can never break out because everybody's on side. And again, you guys have seen stories before. That isn't the answer here, guys, I'm telling you. Like, leading to a scenario whereby one person is in control so no conflict occurs isn't the essence of the human experience. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. That's a cool Elan shot, too. I'd say both our opening and our ED here are steps up from the previous ones. I'm not even much on the goat's milk, and I'm from here. Even goat's cheese, that shit's trash. You'll keep it. Huh. They sure left a lot of evidence. I would like to know more. Indeed. Like a factory worker? Mm-hmm. Well, kinda. Well, no, the duel's already... No, we're doing the duel thing. Yeah. Bad touch? Exceptionally bad touch. The the voice actor's just yucking this up, by the way. He's loving it. Okay, thank you for saving me again. But weren't we gonna murder each other? Yeah, but I'm also an enhanced human. Gautier? What are you trying to say? I agree. I mean, the worst person you know says something you agree with. Huh? Yeah, I was gonna... We'll talk about the plush doll stuff. Okay. Yeah. So I just have to kill her. Okay, let's go to the Rumble Ring. Is Thunder Thighs over here ever gonna do anything, or... She's kind of not even in the show. Whatever. It's fine. This guy's a little twerp. Yeah, bet. Yeah, I'll see you there, man. Yeah. I mean, I saw it too, guys. Come on now. What? Okay. Did Sophie say some... Did she say what I think she said there? We'll see. Okay, we got a bunch of fodder people. And then the battles that'll actually matter. Loud in the back, they call him. Chuachuri. Lots of things. Let the Royal Rumble begin. But the double crossing is what makes it fun. This guy, calm down. Seriously. Talk about creepy. What if Choo Choo won? That was a demi tray. Choo Choo's tweaking? Fucking Mickey Mouse. Mad because bad. Skill issue. Get good. Any number of other things. That'll do it. Yep. Mm-hmm. How did she even get in? How did they both get in? There's ops everywhere. Yeah, and again, Blind Freddy could see that this was where we were going. And again, they're not messing around. Okay. And now you're putting two and two together. See, that's something that I wanted to talk about last episode. Like, I was like, does Soletta not know? Or, and yes, Soletta did not know. She was unaware. I guess she never saw the person inside. Choo Choo, get out of here. No. Yeah, Shadiq is playing with fire here. Like, he just gets... If anybody confesses at all at any point, he's just out. I think that guy just died. Yeah, everyone's like, what the fuck? Don't come to the academy tomorrow. Bro, I've done like 6. I don't even care about that. Uh, who are these little freaks? Oh, action figures. Excuse you? Volva. Yeah, I'd get away as well. It's a lot of movement. Stinks of Miorine showing up. She's hungry. Thought we were going there too. Very funny edit. Yo! Yeah, we'll see, buddy. Yeah. Damn. He's making his move too. So that's the meaning behind all of this. What a creep. I love that guy. Miorine? I need a hero? Okay, she's locking in. Bro, voice acting. Yeah, she's... What? What could that possibly mean? What? She transitioned into a robot? That ain't good. Is she dead as well? I was like, are we gonna go there? Sure seems like it. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Oh, yo! What a little bitch. Gain 2 people. Yo. Absolute cinema. Now, I need to rewatch and establish a few things again for myself. About a lot of things. It's all fucking happening. That's all I'll say. Miorina's gonna come back and be like, what the fuck happened? Yeah, what's this fucking Quiet Zero BS? What does it do? It lets you control everything? Like everything? Like some kind of god. Anyway, next time on Father and Child. You would imagine some Delling stuff? And maybe Shadiq as well. Because that's crazy. He's moving. Also, Sophie's dead? What the fuck? Yeah, that was a lot. That was a hoot and a half, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we'll come back for a little bit of analysis, for at least some establishment of whatever the hell's happening. That's kind of funny. This thing's moving. This thing's moving quickly. For sure. Holy shit. What the fuck? This shit's fucking crazy. What do you mean? What do you mean all that? Where do I even begin? Yeah, a lot happened. Okay, so let's just take a step back and establish a few things, right? So for whatever reason, all of Nika, Norea, and Sophie are all in Shadiq's back pocket. He's the prince. I don't know what that connection is. I thought it was just that he was the conduit for kind of for at least Nerea and Sophie to be able to do the terrorism side, which they want to, right? Because they feel some kind of way about it. And for Nika, I guess it was the opportunity to get into school. So, okay. So he's got them all in the back pocket. He says, hey, Nerea and Sophie, you go into school, and then I will start to do plan on the day of the Royal Rumble. So I don't know how he keeps failing upwards, but he somehow convinced everybody that the whole thing was the Jaturk House's fault, or at least highly suspicious, again, using their Gundams, using their, whatever it was called. Like, because it was their ship, right? Like, hey, you guys showed weakness by allowing terrorists to take control of your stuff, and then they did XYZ, and now Delling's like this, right? And the crazy part is this entire plan hinges on Nika not blabbing, like, at all. And again, when she tries to blab, she kind of just gets taken aside and said, no, we don't do that kind of stuff here, which I think is very funny too. Either way, back to what I was talking about. He then is making moves, but his dad is now de facto leader of Benerick Group for the here and now, right? Like, Miorine, kinda, but it also doesn't work like that. It's also the next, like, business person to step up, the next person of the most seniority. So now Shadiq's, and I keep saying dad, but he's, like, guardian, I guess. He's, like, top dog now. So now Shadiq wants to kidnap him, because then, by right of whatever the hell's going on, he will then be in control of everything? Or at least pretty close. And then again, you could squint and say that this is something trying to get up to the same level as Miorine, trying to, like, climb the ladder so that he can stand next to her or something like that. So the crazy part is that's just one level to it. There's this crazy kind of assassination plot maneuver going on. Well, not assassination, it's like a kidnapping. There's this crazy plot going on whereby Shadiq is seizing power. But at that same time, you have beef between Nika and Nerea and Sophie, whereby Suletta needs to slide in and save the day and duel. At that same point, Sophie feels an obsession towards Suletta based on what she felt back in the day, whether that be power or something. I think Eri is involved there. We'll talk about that too. To the point where she desperately wants to fight her, and instead of focusing on just the mission, which is basically to distract Suletta while we do the other side of it, right? While we take out the big guy. Sophie decides to take it to the nth degree, pushes herself too hard, and dies. So at that same time as that's going on, the audience is making revelations about Quiet Zero and Ariel's role in that, and Ariel's real identity, and also this grand conflict between machines built for war and fighting and machines built to save lives, and how do we kind of justify that kind of range, that kind of, graph, I guess. Yeah, it's a lot. And on top of that, we also have a new opening and a new ED. The new ED, of course, that I am in love with. I've already watched it one more time because I thought that I just wanted to run that shit back. Oh yeah, and I didn't even explain Quiet Zero. So my idea with Quiet Zero is that you get a permit score high enough whereby this, like, bubble kind of expands outwards to, like, the whole fucking known universe, and you can... Again, we explained initially that it controls technology, but it seems like what Bell is implying is that it can control everything. So you can rewrite the entire universe in your own image. It essentially lets you become God. And if it isn't obvious for anybody else, Prospera's kind of in the wrong here. Like, I'm going to use my daughter in the process and fighting and killing a bunch of people to make a world where my daughter can feel safe. Right? And to make it in her image and all that other kind of stuff. It's a mother's love twisted into a weird kind of hate, whereby you're forcing both your daughter and the other one, Suletta, into doing this thing. Like, what? Also, now thinking about it, this definitely explains the 24 years or whatever it was, right? Whatever the number was that didn't make sense, whereby that incident was 20 years ago, and then... Suletta's obviously not 20. That now explains that. So it calls into question, who's Suletta? Is Suletta is she like a clone or something? Because she's got, like, the red hair thing going on. So, like, I just thought they would, like, change their names or something. What the hell's going on there? So now Cradle Planet makes more sense too. now that I think about it. Because that's, like, literally Eri's perspective. Like, the robot... How did that robot gain personification? It's literally a person. Now, again, I don't know how that works. Like, is her brain, like, in the robot somewhere? Or is it, like, space magic? She is a witch, after all. I don't know, man. There's a lot going on. We'll try to go back through and break some of this stuff down. I was thoroughly entertained. The production value of this thing's pretty nuts as well. Great voice acting and sound across this thing, of course. And yeah, I'm excited to see more. If anything, this is like, we're bordering on too quick. Like, it feels like you should have kept some of this juice for later in the story, right? Like, we've still got another 10 episodes or so, right? Like, what do we even do now? It feels like the show's going to end in 3 episodes when we've got 10 left. So, questioning pacing, but again, it's exciting for now. We'll let him cook. Either way, we're never going to get anything done if I don't start going back through this thing. So let's do just that. And all that content from a relatively kind of simple starting point, right? So this is a great reintroduction to the show after basically 3 months off. It lets all the characters shine and have a moment to do their thing and remind everybody who they are and what they do and where their allegiances lie. It involves the big robots, so it gets a casual audience in as well, so they're like, oh, robots fighting, cool. You're not just thrown straight into the minutia of everything, I guess. It reintroduces the duel concept, it reestablishes the school as a setting and is of importance, but also it's clearly still continuing from what we had before. I like this in theory a lot. You really need to, again, let your audience come back to this thing pretty naturally, right? Don't turn the kind of heat all the way up straight away. I hate to say it, folks, I hate to say it. Elan number 5 might be growing on me. He's very hateable in a way that I enjoy. Like, look at him. He's just yucking it up. I can't. I hate that, but also I can't despise that, I guess. Like, I like that I hate it, you know? It's hard to explain. Yeah, but I'm on board. I'm on board with this guy that's a little bit more flamboyant as opposed to real Elan that's just kind of slimy. He's really, you know, kind of turning up the Casanova shtick as well. Yeah, he's doing a good job. Anyway, I guess I should explain the duel kind of setup here. Essentially, as kind of Ariel was getting repairs and upgrades and that kind of stuff, right? Like, it turns out that you have to do a fight every 2 weeks if you're the holder. So, because we've missed so much time, all these battle requests had been kind of, you know, what's the word? Like, backlogging, right? So we're clearing through the backlog very quickly here in kind of like a montage type format to, again, reestablish the battles and the characters and so forth. It's also very interesting up here in the big official room, of course, because we don't have any of the big players here anymore that were here in the start of last season, right? Guel is still MIA, and then Shadik's too important to be here anymore, and it's also a different Elan, so it's like, none of the same people are here, you know? Again, we'll see where, you know, the important people from Jaturk House and Shadik are here in a second. I can't forget his name. Lauda, of course. Like, now in thinking about it, at least injuring Lauda may have been part of the plan of Shadik as well, right? So, okay, who would be next de facto leader? Maybe they would choose Lauda over me. It's more elimination of the competition for Shadik. So it's in his best interests for Nerea and Sophie to target him as well. So what has Shadik promised them? At least Nerea. I think Sophie just sees, like, people... Like, if anybody told Sophie to smash, Sophie would smash, I guess. Nerea seems smart. What's driving her? What has Shadik promised, I guess? That's an important question. I must say, I love these two characters. They're just... You're like Cecilia or something from memory? Something like that. I forget your name. Nerd boy with his ball. They're no enemies. They're no drama. They're everyone's friends. They're just here chilling. They don't even know there's a game on. They're just fucking... They're just vibing. They're going to class. Does anyone in the school attend class? Oh, they're funny. I like these guys. Noticeably very early here, Nika's kind of out of it as she's trying to prepare Soletta for this fight. Again, a lot on her mind. At this point, she's thinking, why were Earthian people... like attacking Delling and attacking us and endangering us in that process? Like, we would have died if I didn't do the thing. That's weird. Hang on. Shadik was talking to some people in that room before. That I kind of was implied that I was a go-between between? Could that have anything to do with it? She's implicated in the crimes by proxy, right? Were we the baddies? That's what she's thinking to herself the whole time here, right? A noted lack of Miorine at school across these 2 episodes. Again, as Soletta keeps exclaiming that she is still fighting for Miorine and her honor and being the holder and all that jazz. It's interesting. I'm holding. I'm like, what are we doing there? Because obviously Prospera's making her moves as well. Yeah, we want to see some Miorine Soletta action. So through this section, we just kind of get to see Ariel and Soletta beat an ass. We just get to see them beat a bunch of fodder people. It's pretty fun. So the implication with the gun bits as well, like, okay, what is happening? Because, like, Soletta's in control, right? She knows that when she's controlling the robot, but somebody else is controlling the gun bits, and it all just fucking connects. It all just works. Todd Howard style. Because, like, that's the way Belmeria figured it out, right? She's like, oh, the gun bits are weird because, like, the permit score and the this and the that. That implies that Eri is in control of the gun bits. Or Ariel, I guess I should say, which is fun now that I think about it. Ariel. That's, yeah, very obvious now. Either way, we'll reread that stuff at the very end. We don't need to pontificate about it right now. Not much to say about this section overall, though. Just kind of, again, Ariel just beating us. So yeah, she ends that whole sequence by saying, I won again, Miorine, and then from there it's kind of straight into the opening. And almost a very abrupt and scary kind of way that I don't really enjoy. It's very quick there. Again, the ED's got this really nice thing that anime do. I'm struggling to think of an example off the top of my head, but it definitely does exist, where they start to play like the opening kind of measures of the ED before you go into it proper. Like you can kind of start to hear the build-up. It builds the anticipation for the end of the episode and whatever that revelation may be. Love that shit. One of my favorite tropes. I'm very happy we're doing it here. In contrast, the opening has no such lead-in. It's just bump. And then it starts. It's kind of crazy. Visually early, it seems like we're playing with some kind of... Also, yeah, I'm not getting lyrics, which is a little bit sad. Am I wrong there? I thought I had lyrics for the other one, for the ED. Yeah, no lyrics for the opening. If somebody could provide those somewhere, that'd be great. Just so I can peruse it quickly and see if there's anything concrete there. Because again, the Yoasobi opening from last core was pretty indicative, I thought, lyrically, so one to watch maybe. Either way, visually we're playing with this split between the frame, almost Your Name style actually, which is kind of funny, as we both gaze up into the sky, that same sky from 2 different worlds of course, but sharing a common goal. That kind of light breaking through the clouds being this kind of grand metaphor for their relationship, right? This being one of the central conceits of them first meeting each other and the whole kind of dueling thing, right? Like episode 1 had light breaking through the clouds, is my point. Then we have the phone part. I say it's a phone, but it's more just like a rectangular prism reflecting certain visuals. First up, I believe this is Miorine falling through the water with a dress on. Sure. Most certainly is, and Soletta's looking broadly confused. Then she starts running. Now, see, this is clever, right? Because Elan is also not Elan, so when I look into my reflection, I see somebody that isn't me. Somebody that I look like... I've been made to look like somebody else. An enhanced human of sorts, right? So again, I wonder if there's going to be any real diving into the real Elan, so to say, right? And what he thinks about things. Oh, I say the real Elan. The real enhanced person number 5, I guess. Similar to the Elan number 4 type storyline. Or does he just, like, not give a fuck perpetually? We'll say. Shadiq, face covered in shadow. What is he planning? We'll never know. He has a shitty man bun. That's all we do know. Guel, head in the shadow as well. Obviously heartbroken, you know, disheveled based on everything that's happened. He ended up killing his own dad. That's no good. We have Earth House here, of course, as well. I kind of forgot the whole company conceit as well. We've kind of moved past that now. We're kind of going very fast ahead in another different direction. So how are we going to explain the stuffed animal side, right? That's why I was surprised that Sophie died. It was like, okay, we've clearly got a setup here for some more backstory and some, you know, tugs at the heartstrings type stuff, some emotional type content. I guess we'll do that as through Nerea explaining Sophie, I guess. Because that's the tragedy of the Sophie stuff, right? Behind all the, you know, craziness and yandere and whatever else, right? On a base level, she just wanted a big sister and somebody that inspired her and, you know, something like that, right? Again, using these stuffed animals as surrogates for a real family And again, you can just read between the lines there. She doesn't have a real family because she's much like all the other Earthians in the show thus far. They're all orphans. They're all kind of lost and abandoned and stuff. They have nothing left. And then, of course, you have Shadiq taking advantage of that, going to these people that are emotionally vulnerable and saying, hey, you guys have power, though. Can we use that to do XYZ? Which probably isn't a great thing to do in retrospect. So yeah, this is tragic. I don't like this, but sure. Yeah, very, very surprised that Sophie's just fucking dead. That she, kicked the bucket. That's crazy to me. Oh yeah, this was a thing? Lowther and this one chick? I don't know. One of them was pretty cut up about him, dying. I think it was you, actually, which is kind of crazy. Because I thought that they were just the groupies back in the day. These people were definitely the groupies, though. They're just... I don't know what Shadiq's doing, but he's... he's got everybody on his side. We just need one turncoat, and he's cooked, right? That's what I would have thought. Either way, this song is Slash by Yama. Which is mountain for the uninitiated, of course. And yeah, for the record, I really like the song. Definitely a striking vocal. Not quite as striking as the other vocal we hear this episode, but we'll get there. Yeah, it's like a cool actions. It feels like we turn up the seriousness in a really cool way. I like it when shows do this, I really do. Another good example of this is Ranking of Kings, which I think the second opening there is obviously better than the first. And again, ups the stakes, ups the tension. It feels like a fucking war show now, right? Again, in a way that you want stuff to progress like that, right? I think it really works. Visually here, we see Ariel peeking over the edge here, seeing Soletta. Soletta looks up broadly worried at her big sister, of course, which now, again, makes a lot of sense. We have scary-looking Prospera, who walks off that way. We have Ghost Baby, which is Eri, right? Maybe that's that laughing that we heard that one time. Remember that? It's like LR number 4. We heard some laughing. That shit freaked me out. Anyway, Delling's there for a second. Shadiq's there, still looking broadly ominous on his phone. Got any games on your phone, big fella? Maybe. I guess this is an extension of how we saw all the characters before and them standing up. So they were shadowed, it was all grayscale. Now it's a little bit more in color. They're standing up out of their previous positions and they're going to do whatever they need to do. Speaking of Guel's another person that can expose everything, right? Because he saw what went on that day. He can walk in and rain on Shadiq's parade, right? At least a little bit. A bit more of this mirror conceit for Elan as well, which is interesting. Again, we'll see. We'll see where we go with Elan as a character. A lot of action there. Cool looking action. Very fast action, though. Really love this shot here of Ariel and the 11 gun bits. Almost like candles on a cake. I'm crazy with it. I'm crazy. Look at this. This is definitely a simpler time, right? Yeah, shit. Yeah, shit, eh? And again, immediately contrasting that with, pretty obviously, Norette and Miorine. Again, further association and building of the tomato theme. Oh, I didn't even talk about that other crazy part, right? Move forward, gain 2 is like move forward and gain 2 daughters as well, right? Which is that's crazy. Absolute cinema. Anyway, opening's pretty solid. I definitely prefer the ED though. I'll have less to say about the ED because I just think the song in combination with the visuals there is stunning. It is a stunning piece of art, as opposed to this one, which is a little bit more information heavy, where you can glean certain things, I guess. And yeah, because the episode moved at such a breakneck pace, I didn't get a chance to say this, but as soon as I saw this line, right, where it's like, prospective students will visit our school soon, I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to see Nerea and Sophie in school uniforms soon. This scene is mostly used for exposition. We learn that it's 2 weeks later. All the media are reporting what happened at Plant Cueta as an accident. They're not reporting what really happened, the terrorism, the attempts on Delling's life. They just thought he got injured in something else, right? It's not like the media to be in the kind of pockets of other benefactors. That's never happened in the history of mankind. And Choo Choo's feeling some type of way because she personally got attacked. Like, we were in danger, like in real danger, not like fake danger at school. It was a little bit more important than you, Choo Choo. They were making an attempt on the president's life. You guys just got caught in the crossfire. Soletta's keeping very hush-hush about things as well, partly out of, obligation to do so, but also out of a personal set of shame, right? She's not sure about the murder that she did, and if that's all okay. especially after her wife called her a murderer or whatever she did. I also can't believe this guy over here, he like ratted her like immediately. Also nice fucking jawline, buddy. Boo, but also I guess necessary. I wished you, yeah, you ratting her out implicates all of Earth House. So did you think about that part of it? Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Lalique here in particular is feeling really shook up about the whole thing, the real combat nature of it. We can see her similarly recoil next episode when she realized that another attack is taking place, when she kind of spies those two Gundams again, both the Elthriths. So again, really, you know, shaken up by this kind of stuff. PTSD, feels like she's going to die, all that other kind of stuff. Shaking the hands. Soletta comes in, cups them, makes her feel better. It's nice. It's some nice stuff. Soletta's a real hero this episode. It's a shame about all the murder that she commits. But again, that's the dichotomy, right? Of what she is, right? Is she here to save everybody? Is she here to kill everybody? Are we a weapons company? Are we a prosthetics company? You know, all these questions kind of coming into one. It's very smart stuff. She care with her hands, but also with her hands she crush. Very cool. So Soletta's all well and good after everything. She's still herself. She's trying to lock back in. She's helping with the tomatoes. She's channeling some of that Miorine energy. But now we see how Miorine in actuality is doing. She's still pretty shook up about the whole thing. So I think, again, Delling's on the brink. Like, is he in like a coma or something? That just stinks of him waking up at a certain point and seeing what the hell's going on and being like, So Delling was on board. Delling was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do whatever this thing is, whatever this Quiet Zero thing is, let's go. So I think Prospera's plan at some point was to hijack this thing, but only after using Delling to a certain point. It is against her interests in the here and now for Delling to be injured and dying, right? She didn't want that to happen. Again, that's why we put Ariel into action to go save them in kind of episode 12, right? So that's why Prospera needs to slither her way over to Miorine and make sure that's still all happening, right? That Quiet Zero is still going ahead. And now let's talk about Delling's motivation for Quiet Zero as well. He must know the power of it and its universe-shaping implications, right? And he probably has something to do with his dead wife. What if I remade the world whereby my wife was still alive, or something like that, right? Again, we'll see. I'm sure the show will elaborate on that somewhat. We've essentially created something in the plot that is tantamount to a wish, or magic, right? Where certain characters know about it and are willing to do anything for it. I wonder if Shadiq will learn of the true power here and want to use it for his own personal means as well. We're gonna have to wait and see. Either way, she's all business suited up. Again, pretty shook up about the whole parent dying thing, or very injured thing. It's happened to her once before. She doesn't want it to happen to her father, despite her complicated feelings on the man. And here we have Shadiq controlling the narrative, right? The crime was committed by Dawn of Fold. They're an anti-Spacian group. You know that better than anybody, being the one that told them to go, right? Is it true that Jaturk mobile suits were used to carry out the attack? Yes. Is it also true that I came up with the idea and was in cahoots with the main Jaturk guy to make all this happen? Like, we tried to kill Delling? Yeah, that's also true, but clearly, again, is not being said here at this time. And yeah, we have the more experienced minds of the other side preying upon the inexperience of Lauda here, right? Acting CEO in this case. Essentially, what Shadiq is doing in the here and now is damage control. From the end of episode 12, that's not the implication that I got. I thought that he was immediately going to be uncovered and thrown aside. That didn't happen. He scrambled. He scrambled really, really well. Instead of taking the blame himself, again, as discussed before, shifting it onto Jaturk, but also shifting it onto Earthians overall. If it's an anti-Spacian Dawn of Fold type thing, then it's Earthians' fault. Look, they have Gundams. Like witches. Let's kill them. We hate Gundams, right? Which again goes to what I was talking about last week, which is, are Sophie and Nerea, I guess, doing more harm than good here, right? Are they bringing more trouble to Earth through their actions in the here and now? Is that worth for whatever they've been promised, right? For whatever Shadiq has over them, I guess. This specifically is a great thing for convincing the Grassley CEO guy, who is pretty vehemently against Gundams, right? As soon as he sees Gundams involved, he's like, that's the culprit. It's perfect manipulation from Shadiq. He knows your weaknesses as well, you know? See, look at all these spaceships descending on Earth. That can't have been the goal for Nerea and Sophie, right? Oh, this guy here. Is this the same guy? I forget. But he's the guy that shows up in the end of episode 14. So he's working behind the scenes to figure out the Dawn of Fold thing and who's responsible and who are the conspirators and stuff. Here we see evidence of Shaddiq's lying to his own guardian here as well. He denies that he knows where the two Gundams came from, even though you know the other part of it, which was your kind of, what's the word? Knowledge of the assassination of Dowling, I guess. And again, he's told not to leave the campus until everything calms down. Dog, I don't even think he's been back at school. He's just doing everything else. I guess I was too distracted by his man bun and his boyish good looks here. He literally says, we'll drag my father into it, into my plan, that is. Is that why you summoned those two? And again, those two in question is Sophie and Nerea. So again, we're literally dragging him into it by kidnapping him. After that scene, we have a deep and meaningful conversation here between Soletta and her mother, Prospera, whereby Soletta feels kind of bad about the whole murder thing last episode, which is fair enough. Where Prospera continues to advocate for the murder. There was no other way. If you hadn't done that, then you know, the president and your wife would have died. And this is the most specific line of them all. If you say so, Mum, then it must be true. Oh, you're just so easily manipulated, right? Just fair enough, it's your own mother. I'm sure Miorina will understand eventually. I don't think anybody should ever understand, right? Right after that, we have Soletta channeling that same kind of energy and going over to Nika and offering a helping hand. She notices that Nika's feeling kind of down, kind of not herself after what happened, and wants to, again, help her in that, right? It's almost like she's taking some of the good aspects of Prospera's calming stuff and applying it to other people, right? Also meaning to stress the dichotomy that I keep talking about, right? On one level, she crushes people with her hand. She goes, and then they die. But on the other level, she's such a kind person. She goes around and she tries to calm people down. She, again, offers her hand to help. That's the whole idea behind the whole frame of her holding her hand out with the tomato sauce on it, right? Like, she is offering a helping hand, but in the process is implicated in killing and murder and bad stuff and that kind of side of it, right? I really like how we're flip-flopping a lot with Soletta like that, right? We're showing her two sides. And again, the two sides of the technology in the process. Nika, you're a precious friend to me, so I want to offer you a helping hand and get you back to normal, get you back doing the work that I know you love to do. There's a great line there by Nika as well. You're so amazing, Soletta. I never felt like I could be as brave as you and go help people in that kind of crisis type situation. We see this come back by the very end of the episode. Soletta into action once again, saving you from a similar scenario, right? It's almost like initially you've taken the courage from this to go and confront Nerea and Sophie about what they're doing and say, hey, this probably isn't okay. And then the next part being kind of reporting Shaddiq, or at least trying to, right? It feels like you're taking from Soletta's actions here, channeling them into doing your own thing. I think that's pretty purposeful as well. We have Soletta once again bringing up the move forward gain 2 thing, and then lo and behold, 2 extra figures show up that we hadn't seen before. Also, she calls her mum a gentle magician, which is... the magician part's definitely right. She certainly is a witch. She's going to use some grand magic technology shit to rule the galaxy or something. So this confused me as well. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it, right? I'm like, how do you not recognize who this is immediately? Even based on the voice. I was like, what's happening? Of course, we must remember that Soletta couldn't even hear her. The communications were down, remember? You were just kind of shouting into the void, doing your own little thing there. But even on top of that, you don't know what the person looked like who was inside that Gundam on that day. It's also been 2 weeks. I'm going to give you a lot of benefit of the doubt here of not recognizing who this is. Here we have 2 transfer students, house no data, previous criminal record no data. Their biometrics are registered, and they're from Data Materials. Now, Data Materials is a shell company. It's something that they made up so that their alibis and their stories look legit. I love Elon here as well. This seems suspicious, he basically says. And he's right. Shoutouts to Elon. Now again, Nika doesn't know these people personally. That's something I need to get out of my head as well. But they are 2 Earthians of mysterious origins that have just shown up, and then you happen upon them at the end of the episode doing their thing. So you're like, oh, I've put 2 and 2 together here. Shaddiq's got these 2 people back in his implementing his next part of the plan. Here we have Sophie with the plush dolls. I've talked about it again. This is her weird, delusional found family type thing. I like how fucked up and kind of weird and torn apart all the plush dolls are as well. It's almost like this is the best thing she could find as well. Again, there's a grand tragedy to her feeling a big sister energy off of Ariel and off of Soletta, right? You and Soletta are very similar in that regard. Like, looking to Eri and feeling Eri's presence in a weird way. Through whatever technology shit we have going on, and wanting to attach yourself to that. Again, it's almost like Prospera's plan in the moment is coming true, if that makes any sense, right? Her big plan is to make Eri's world better, give a life to Eri, or whatever, goal Prospera has. This is almost like it coming to fruition. I want Eri to have as many friends as possible, therefore you kind of get drawn into the field, to the energy there, right? It almost preys upon your desire to want another person in your family as well, I guess. And yeah, this is really cute as well. You keep calling her big sister. Soletta's like chuffed at that, right? I have so much respect for my big sister. Now that I'm in that similar role, I need to put on my best for you. That's some great character writing stuff. I really like that. Nika, in the shadow of night, is now confronting Nerea about what the hell they're doing here. Nerea counters with, well, we're very similar to you, right? You don't come from a real company. You're here by Shadik's kind of request, I guess. He, set it up that you can be here. You were in his debt. And you're a go-between. Go-between doesn't need to know. Keeping you in the dark this entire time, the same way that Shadik did. And Nerea counters here, right? You're acting all very innocent in this, wanting to protect your house, do this, do that kind of thing, right? It was because of your efforts, it was because of your status as the go-between that we were able to mount an attack on Delling, right? Maybe you're associated with Naji and not these other two girls, I guess. Essentially here, Nerea blackmails her, right? I know that you're a sham as well. I've also got a knife to your stomach. Hey, if you want to keep fulfilling your dream here in this school, then you better not peep about this, right? From here, the open day begins. I will say we don't play with this concept in a very cool way. I feel like you could have done more here. What is a Gundam universe equivalent to a school festival? What does that look like? I feel like we could have done more there, rather than just another big all-in Royal Rumble-esque duel. This maybe talk to my pacing that these two episodes are a little bit too quick. There's a little bit too much information here. You probably could have spread this out a little bit more. I would have liked some slice-of-life-y stuff here. Just seeing, again, a school festival in this world. It does give some time for some interactions between Soletta and Sophie that I think are pretty cool, that set up nicely to the climax of next episode. And also her cock-blocking Elan is very funny. Yeah, just kind of fish out of water type stuff, she gives, Raised by Wolves vibes, I guess. She's not of this world. She doesn't know the normal things that you're meant to do. See? This kind of stuff. That's why I wanted to know more about her before she just fucking cocked it. I don't know. I think she would have been an interesting character to talk to. She's just doing fucking wheelies. She's doing, acrobike type shit up the stairs. She's crazy. The aforementioned Elan cock blocking is happening, and then Nerea keeps showing up and being like, got your ass. I could see through what you're trying to do. I was just looking around admiring your campus, says Nerea. What clean, well-circulated air you have, as she draws a rotting skull. She's pretty intense, almost to a comical level, that I do enjoy. Again, clearly here she's throwing shade at what the Spacians have done to her planet, right? Look at how lovely it is up here. You guys mimicking Earth so very much. Wish we could live on actual Earth after what you guys did. In this next scene, I believe this is Nika trying to call Shadik and Shadik not answering. So I think she hides this weird laptop in her, room. In the fucking under the floorboards. And then after coming out of that room, it's oh, I'm confronting you about what I saw, right? And she continues to deny it, continues to not tell. This action here directly leads to what's going on later, right? Him ratting us out, essentially. So here's my thing. Once these authorities get their hands on Nika, right? Or maybe they're not going to let them get their hands on Nika. Maybe she's under the arrest of Shadik as well now because she knows everything. Because once she says her bit, right, about what Shadik did, then Shadik's toast, right? So it's very important that we make sure that Nika doesn't blab. But for Nika on a personal level, she wants to keep staying at school and achieving her dream and blah, 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 blah. In giving up information about Shadiq, she's also giving up her information, right? And she'll be expelled from school. She's not there on legitimate reasons anymore, right? That's the conflict for her, I guess. That's the leverage that Shadiq has. We have these Jaturk house cronies come over and basically just expose at us that the Rumble Ring thing is a thing. Essentially, hey, the Holder is obligated to be in this big old all-in brawl that we have for our open day. Also, how does she not know about this? Dog, what if nobody told her? She just wouldn't have attended. That would have been very funny. From there, we lead to the last scene of this episode, which is Nerea and Sophie here on request of Shadiq to go in and destroy Faract, essentially. So Faract is from Gundam lineage, but different to the Elthrith stuff, right? So it's not exactly, similar to our Gundams, but it's still a Gundam. Either way, we're obligated to do what the prince says, so let's go and destroy it. Again, this thing would be an obstacle if it was to be used in the event tomorrow, right? This is interesting stuff, too, from Sophie. Nerea quizzes her, says, hey, is Soletta Mercury everything that you kind of built her up in your own head? It's like, well, yeah, she's good. She's really kind too. But even so, I don't feel the same thrill that I felt that day. It's because that thrill came from a different person. It came from Eri as opposed to Soletta, which is very fun. Oh, love the animation there. Look at her like shivering on the hand as Nika comes in to confront these two, right? Yeah, Nika gets swiftly thwarted here. It's great that she's being brave and stuff, but again, I think confronting these two in the here and now is tantamount to suicide. It's crazy. The Nerea Nika stuff is continuing to build. That's clearly something we're going to continue to address. Hey, we're both from very similar upbringings. We both have very similar connections. You've clearly soured and twisted on the stuff, while Nika chooses to be optimistic and positive. You say that she's making light of reality, where again, Nika needs to counter and pull you into the light potentially. Either way, Soletta's here to save the day. And yeah, in the interest of saving time here, essentially there's a duel request, and all the events are going to happen next episode, whereby it's all crazy and everything goes mental. I do like this moment when Nika tells Soletta to run, save yourself, and she's like, no, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to channel Miorine in doing so, and I'm going to, challenge you to a duel. I think this is a step in the right direction, at least confidence-wise, for Soletta as well. Again, standing up and being the brave one, like Miorine was to you back in the day, right? When you were being a victim, right? Now you're able to do that for somebody else. You've moved forward, you've grown over the course of the show, which we like. No longer shivering, still a little bit stuttery, but not quite as much as before. Growing in confidence, we love to see it. And yeah, very obvious stuff. Again, this dichotomy that I've talked about being established here will be expanded upon next episode here, of course. And yeah, I'll accept your duel. We'll show Big Sis that Gundams are just machines made for violence. We'll do a duel our way. And again, this ED is just an 11 out of 10. It's so good. I don't know, am I crazy? Do you guys feel this kind of way about it? Or like, am I out on a limb here? I feel like this is incredible, no? It's probably one of the better EDs I've seen in a very long time. I'd need to think about it. It's harder to think about EDs all the time than it is openings. You have more of an association with the openings generally that are a little bit more put into it. But it's right up there. It's definitely one of my personal favorites. At least that I've done on the channel. Yeah, this really cool like Maho Shoujo type stuff whereby Ariel grabs onto your heart and like changes you somewhat too. Red Birthmark is the name of the song too, which is pretty crazy. I think that's really cool. The dance of the gun bits here. All the different Miorines poking out there too. No, this is Soletta. It's odd. No, that's Soletta. That's Miorine? I don't know. I'm confused. No, that was Soletta. Is it Eri? Thoughts? Anyway, I really like the ED, even if I didn't fucking understand it at all. And I don't know, there's also like two girls holding hands and dancing in it, so that's probably doing a lot for me as well. Not much to say here about this post-credit scene as well. We start on this scene next episode. Hey, Prospera's sliding in here and proposing some stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of really hot, and I've run out of time here at the moment, so I'll return later on, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Just a few errands to run today, unfortunately. But again, you'll see me in a moment. A lot to say about these episodes for sure. Okay, so things didn't go the way I planned, and now it's the next day. Let's dive back in here to episode 2 or episode 14 of this next core, I guess. It's weird. Now, what I think's interesting here is this 89%. Now, in retrospect, I think this is like some Quiet Zero type BS, so we're like charging up Quiet Zero through this process. It's interesting to see that it's already like pretty high up there. Like it's got enough energy, I guess. Because my idea is like, I think you're going to put Ariel in it somehow, or the data there within, and it's going to turn like a key or something. It's just going to be like the catalyst for this thing to go off and do whatever it needs to do. It's like a big amplifier or something, right? So having this kind of stuff so close to completion with 10 episodes left is intriguing. Again, I was seeing this as the climax. Maybe we're not quite doing that. Maybe we get a little bit more crazy with it. We'll see. So straight off of the end of last episode, we have Prospera here calling out to Miorine, hey, I want you to take over the work of your father on Quiet Zero. Now again, of course, Miorine and the persona that she's put up to now wouldn't be totally on board of replacing her father. That's just not something she's about, right? But this is where we get interesting, right? Notre Rembrandt, Miorine's mother, if she was the originator here of this project, then maybe that gets her a little bit more interested. So this is an important note as well for Delling. So Delling clearly feels some kind of way about Quiet Zero. Now it's clear to see. I'm reading into this like he's depressed, forlorn over his lover that had to pass away for whatever reason, right? And again, he's seeing this as a way to get her back and simultaneously finish her life's work, bring some closure there, all those kind of lovely, sappy feelings. And again, also mirroring Prospera's feelings about the loss of her husband, right? Like in the loss of her daughter, it's weird. But here they're both kind of channeling that idea of loss and loss of a close one and loss based on the system around them into building this thing that can change the world. I think that's coming into sharper focus here as we continue. There's some really smart direction stuff with this show. I really do believe it, right? Some may say it's obvious. Some may say that most people do this, but I don't think they do. Nothing feels quite this kind of cinematic and deliberate in its use, I guess. I'm talking about how Prospera moves from the darkness into the light as she starts to justify certain things and convince Miorine about stuff, right? Again, it seemed like a bad idea over here from Miorine's perspective when she was in the shadow, starts to actually convince her and turn her around once we move into the light. Very notable here as well as the presence of the vegetation. I think that's pretty pointed as well. Again, with the theming of Miorine, of course. But I should talk about the dialogue. We're talking about data storms here, right? How much do you know about them? Well, they're a hyperdense information system different from existing networks. You've seen it time and time again. You saw Ariel override her opponents during duels. Well, I don't know if I've especially seen her override other people. She definitely beats them, but there is certain, like people will have weapons and obviously Ariel like shuts them down or something like that. I've seen that kind of stuff. So I guess that's what we're talking about here. So that's what Quiet Zero is. It's an amplification for this technique, I guess. So we can use the data storm, again, literally using the thing that killed my husband to control any system via permit links. And Miorine is like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that Delling wanted to become a god? So again, as I said in the reaction, he's been a king for so long. He wants to elevate that one step above. I'm still seeing a sympathetic motivation there, and I think something that Prospera can see as well. I sympathized with his aims. Again, potentially I want to become a god as well. Again, a world without the sadness of conflict or loss, right? And the secret is revealed, right? I wanted to help Delling with this. That's why I sent Soletta into your school to let her participate in the duels, right? To get her involved in this system, to train up Ariel, do all that other kind of stuff. That's why Delling didn't really say anything when it came out that it was a Gundam, despite, again, his open stance against Gundams in the past. And of course, as is Prospera's character here, she sees that the ends always justify the means. Technically, you are using Soletta and keeping her in the dark here, right? But she wanted to go to school and experience a normal life that a kid would have. So, you know, two birds, one stone. If she's none the wiser, then what's the pain there, I guess? Again, it mirrors what will happen if Prospera gets her way in the very end, right? There will be no pain, there will be no conflict, everybody will be kept in the dark. But is that entirely better? Probably not. And yeah, the plan was working perfectly, she was getting a lot of training, that being Soletta, working on Ariel, getting a lot of data, all that other kind of stuff. The dueling system of the academy made for a place where she wouldn't die if she was to continue fighting. But unless the president awakens, we cannot proceed with Quiet Zero. Therefore, Miorine, step up, do the thing. And yeah, we kind of end the scene there on the will they, won't they with Miorine and Quiet Zero, right? Prospera's trusting Miorine here by telling her this information. I believe that you will agree. I believe that you won't throw out your father's work. I'll believe, and again, especially the connection to the mother there, you're going to feel inspired in the same way that Delling did, right? This episode is very clearly now called What They Wish For. It's kind of talking about Quiet Zero. As I said before, it's kind of like, it's tantamount to a wish, I would say. Back with the Earth gang here. We're trying to sell our prosthetics at the kind of school festival type equivalent. Trying to sell goat's milk at the same time. Probably not a great idea. The story that the Earth gang gets fed here is that Farak had an accident with Nika. That's why Nika's injured at the moment. They're trying to help her with some medicine, but they all realize that Nika's being kind of secretive here and unsure as to why. Again, Choo-Choo's suspicious. She walks in here and it's like, does this really look like an accident? I don't think so. It looks like a conflict took place here. Cut over to Soletta and Nika having a conversation. Based on what Soletta saw, she's now curious as to why they were even kind of fighting with each other, that being Nerea, Sophie, and Nika. And here's the closest we get to Nika's backstory. And again, my theory, as it stands at the moment, is that Shadiq got her into this school. That's the thing that he has over her. She'll be expelled if she doesn't do what Shadiq wants. That would make a lot of sense to me. Again, the thing that a lot of the Earthians share here is that they're orphans. They don't know where their parents are. They don't know where they were born, all that other kind of stuff. Maybe there's a connection there as well with Shadiq also being an orphan. There could be a twinge of actual genuine connection between the two based on that fact, you would say. And yeah, the vibe I'm getting is that Nika was like pretty switched on at this whole technology thing, right? Even in her small experience there, Shadiq's seen this somehow, says, hey, do you want to go here? And then, hey, you also do this for me, right? And again, it seems great in theory. My dreams had come true. I'm actually going to school. Doesn't that reflect Soletta somewhat as well, right? Despite everything, despite the secret plans above me, at least I get to go to school and be a normal kid, right? We even addressed that directly there, right? I thought I was just like you, Soletta. I was projecting that onto you. I apologize for that. But there's no need for apologies, right? We're friends. Friends help each other out, you know? So yeah, clearly Nika's still closing herself off, doesn't want everything to be discovered, but still channels some of that Soletta bravery in the very end of the episode where she tries to whistleblow on the whole affair. Either way, Soletta is still kept in the dark for now, before popping on over and starting the Royal Rumble. Wait, no, first and foremost, Elon has to come in and be a creep for a bit, and then Sophie has to come through and save us one more time. I can hear the voice act in the booth just like yucking it up for Elon, so that's very fun. I like that a lot. The other thing here is that maybe you could squint and say that there's some shoujo pastiche stuff. He's being very, very forward in a way that some shoujo guys generally are. I don't know. It's very much not my thing, as I'm sure you can guess. But I think showing how one of these shoujo guys and how they'd actually be perceived in reality or close to reality is kind of funny. Either way, saved by lesbians, as is the case generally. Now, this seems interesting too. So after Sophie and Nerea roll through, Sophie runs off with Soletta. Nerea has a small conversation here with Elon, right? First, she throws some shade. She's basically like, you're Peel's little boy toy. You just do whatever you said. You're like a dog on a leash. And then he rebuts with, your eyes remind me of somebody. A pitiful guy who couldn't even choose whether he'd live or die. I heard he ended up dying all alone. You're an irritating fellow. You're pretty annoying yourself. And yeah, we leave that there. I wonder what that is. I wonder if that's just a little pointless anecdote, or that's referencing something a little bit more. Is there more to Nerea's origins? Is she related to somebody that we already know that isn't being revealed to me in the here and now? Again, currently unaware, but that's okay. I'm allowed to be. Back with Sophie and Soletta here. Sophie's realized what she wants to stake in the duel that was declared at the end of last episode, right? If I win, you'll become my real big sister. So the deal is basically set as it stands right now, based on Academy rules in a weird way. Sophie, if you win, Soletta becomes your big sister. Hey, Soletta, if you win, we'll stop annoying Nika and beating her up and stuff. Soletta reminds herself who she's doing this all for. I've made promises with Miorine. I can't lose a duel. That was one of the declarations there very early in the show. I have no choice but to win. It's nothing against you, Sophie, and your whole big sister thing, but it's just what I have to do. But then Sophie starts tweaking after hearing the name Miorine, Delling's daughter, Miorine Rembrandt, of course. And then, oh, I know who that is. If she's the one keeping you confined and keeping you from being, you know, my big sister, then I know who I need to be taking out. So again, I thought that this was set up, right? In a weird way. I thought that this was set up for a larger conflict whereby you're now going to be solely after Miorine in a really kind of yandere kind of way. Not the case. She just up and dies. I'm unsure how I feel about that in the kind of after sleeping on it, I guess. Yeah, I kind of wish she was still alive. I think there was more we could have done with this character, which we're going to have to retroactively do through Nerea now, I think. It was also never an officially sanctioned duel because there was never any declaration, any official kind of, what's the word? Like the oath that we say. There was never any of that stuff, so I don't know. Either way, we have Cecilia here calling the start to the Royal Rumble here, of course. So it's hard to get invested in this when I know how it goes in the Royal Rumble concept, I guess. But everybody's suiting up. It's like an all-in battle royale style thing whereby there's a 30-minute limit. It's an officially sanctioned duel, so hey, if you do defeat the holder there, then you will proceed. You will gain holder status, which is pretty cool. Again, that's why we're throwing Loud into the mix. That's why all the players are coming out, all the people, again, from all these houses that want to claim that title. Now, I wonder if this will get any extra development at all. We have this character here, one of the Jaturk House young ladies. I was going to call them something else, but I won't. She has a thing for Louder. I don't know. We'll note it. Put a pin in it. Maybe we'll come back to that. It's interesting to watch Grassley at this time as well, because they're sending people, unbeknownst to us here at the moment, over to, like, take out the guy. The big Grassley guy, like, kidnap him. So, like, that's kind of crazy, right? Interestingly here, Soletta says, I wonder what she was talking about with that whole killing Miorine thing, and that I wasn't like what I was before, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, forget about it. I just need to win the duel. No, you should think about that some more. It would serve you well during the climax of the episode here. Just as the battle is commencing as well, we get an introductory scene of Belle coming in and discussing something with Prospera. We'll elaborate on this as the scene transpires, but it's very, very important, big picture revelation stuff for the plot of the show. Seems like we're playing with a bit of a team battle concept here at the moment. Choo-Choo's clearly on Soletta's side. There's no, like, double crossing there. Even Elan's playing ball, which we like. Again, a little bit more invested in the private time between the two more than anything else. How scandalous. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't really note this. Choo-Choo's got, like, PTSD, the poor thing. So she goes to shoot up somebody here. Time to pay you back for busting up my demi-tray. I think that this was in reference to a conflict early in the show. She goes to fire the laser there, and then gets a flashback quickly to that laser firing at the various ships in the kind of loading dock at the end of Last Core, right? During episodes 11 and 12. And she can't quite do it. She doesn't have the strength now to shoot at the enemy and shoot to kill, right? She has like an idea of the reality of war now and that it isn't just a game, right? She no longer feels safe participating in things like this. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible for Choo-Choo. Is she ever going to be the same again? This is a pretty cool fight before the, terrorism happens again, which is pretty epic. Yeah, it's just fun. It's like an all-in, it's very easy to tell who's who and where the conflicts are. It's fun to have, like, the idea of a battle with kind of 3 different parties, if that makes any sense. We've kind of got the Earthian plus Peel, then Grassley, then Jaturk. Like, I think that's just, it's a cool setup, right? There's double crosses and stuff. Interesting here is Louder, though. Louder is mad because bad. He blames the Mercurian wench, of course, Soletta Mercury, for all of the stuff that's happened, for what happened to his brother, for what happened to the father, for everything. Again, I don't think that's entirely fair, and clearly he's just frustrated at everything else and is pointing it at one person. That's not very cool. Either way, we don't need to think about that for much longer because, hey, turns out those 2 Gundams from those Earthians, Nerea and Sophie, pop out of the fucking walls and start shooting him in the face. And not like play shooting, not like the competition stuff, like actual legitimate murder. So I don't really know where they were hiding, but they definitely popped out, and again, to the surprise of Mr. Grassley over here, Sarius Zanelli? I must remember that name, he seems important. Hey, yeah, the terrorists are here. And not just these guys, there's also other terrorists from within that are about to show up and kidnap you. And yeah, here's that scene I was referring to before as well. Nika channeling a little bit of courage here and trying to report the crimes and everything and blah, 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 knowing the consequences that will be pretty bad for you as well. But again, is discovered by one of the grassly dorks, one of Shadiq's girls. And no, we don't do that kind of thing over here. So Sophie shows up and says, hey, it's finally time for our duel. Let's go, Soletta, you're ready. And then Soletta puts 2 and 2 together finally. Oh, that Gundam from the terrorism from before. That's Sophie? Oh, no. Yeah, very funny scene. And again, we know she doesn't. It's great stuff. Hang on, what was that shot there? That was incredible. Look at this. We kind of cut into here. It's Elan, Sophie, and the other one is Nerea. Why go that hard with that shot? That shot's crazy. I really like the idea of, again, these 2 Earthians showing up and, like, messing with the gameness of it all, right? So, like, hey, you guys have got all these screens up here, like, literally simulating Earth, or at least some spot on Earth, right? Fuck that shit. Let's tear it down. Let's bring us to the reality of this situation. Let's knock some heads together, right? This isn't a game. This is out. Like, this whole conceit is insulting to us. We're gonna have to tear it all down. Hey, you guys aren't on Earth. You're in space right now. And very notably, we take the battle out to space at a certain point as well. I think that's very smart. I think that's very, very smart and targeted, right? By that same token, aiming for the cockpits, which is illegal. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be aiming for the disparate parts, trying to like cut off limbs and incapacitate rather than kill. So if those 2 are here and front management still hasn't been contacted, I wonder why. I think Shadiq has something to do with that, which is weird. This random guy fucking just carks it too. That's pretty epic. I like that. And again, that's the indicator. That's when shit gets serious for everybody involved. They look at that and they're like, oh, we're like being murdered. There's like a couple like school shooters here. And yeah, the PTSD comes back, which is no good as well. It's all hands on deck. Evacuate. Fuck that shit. And yeah, just as shit's getting serious, we have the both of them saying permit score 3. And then a bunch of little fucking mobile suits pop out of the ground. It turns out I'm remote controlling all these little things with permit score 3, which is pretty epic. They're the equivalent of your gun bits, that being Sophie. I can finally fight you on a level, Soletta. I've got these fucking 6 little dudes here to help me. Now, do we talk about Gundvolvers? I know it's not spelled like that, but when you say it kind of phonetically, it sounds like something else. Piece of the human anatomy. Potentially on screen right now if, you know, this mobile suit had... Anyway, let's not discuss it. I'm going to just call them gun dudes or something. I don't know. It's a weird one to talk about, man. Oh yeah, okay, rereading this scene, it's very clear to see what's happening as well. All the Grassley people are in on it, right? So you're like pretending to lose to these people here at the moment while we're trying to get a backup vehicle in for Sarius to get him out of here. At that same point, on that backup vehicle, we'll have a couple of assassins come through and kidnap Sarius, right? Makes sense, makes sense. There is a lot to follow in this sequence, man, and that's not even including the Prospera stuff we'll get into later. Sophie's getting more and more intense as the battle rages on. The data storms rolling through her as well. It can't be doing her any good. But again, we're asking her like leading questions as well. Why use the Gundam so violently? It's like, well, because I have things that I want, right? I feel like I have been crushed by the system and not given things that everybody else should have luxury to have, right? If the world was a fair and just place. I want comics, video games, and also a family who will always love me. So yeah, this is when we kind of fill in the gaps with the whole plush doll stuff as well, right? And the big sister obsession that she has with Soletta. And then Soletta goes to say, that's wrong. You can't kill people to get things that you want, especially when it pertains to family. Oh wait, I did that like 2 episodes ago. I like murdered a man because he threatened Miorine and because Mum told me to. Am I any better than her? Who's the real monster here? Yeah, it's great to see that Soletta's having a little bit of self-reflection about that. Choo-Choo makes a based decision here. She's going to shoot her big Giga laser at Nerea, I believe, but then overcomes his I forget her name, but she's over with Lauda. She's like helping him and saying that he's going to die and stuff, right? Now, Choo Choo, instead of using her Gundam to fight and to kill other people, she is using her Gundam to protect people that I'm saving lives over here, you know? It's that dichotomy that I've talked about. Again, I'm going to be the bigger Gundam here, right? I'm not going to resort to the violent means you guys are resorting to. Instead, I'm going to protect my enemy and friend alike and help preserve human life. Again, there are merits to the violent approach, of course, that we have gone into, but I like this for Choo Choo. She's kind of mellowing out a little bit and being all protective and stuff. I like it. More of this Nerea-Ellen beef, too, because these two are off fighting at the same point as Sophie and Soletta doing her thing, or their thing, I should say. Again, this clearly is, there's more setup here to this kind of stuff, right? She's trying to goad Elan into upping his permit score, and he's like, fuck that shit. I'm not killing myself for this stuff, man. I changed my face just to stay alive. There's no way I'm dying in vain by upping my permit score. If you're afraid to die, Elan, then you must ditch your Gundam, which is intense as well. Again, contrast that with what Sophie does here. She wants what she wants so viciously that she literally permit scores herself to death by the very end of the episode here. This was what I was talking about before. We have these two grassly dorks coming in and kidnapping the president. Very cool. So yeah, Shadik's making his move. Thank you for taking me under your wing, Sarius Zanelli, but you've outgrown your usefulness. I'm here to make my move here as well. I don't know what this means. Does this mean that he wants to be de facto president because he was president, and if I take him out, then I'm the next in line? Is that how this shit works? It's really unclear. Where does Miorine fall on this kind of thing, right? Like, how is she's related to Delling? When does she get like line to being the president? Is it because she's a child? But you're a child too. Unclear. Again, what I'm seeing for Shadik from a character perspective, though, is I want to be on that same level as Miorine to have a chance with her, right? There's some big tragic Shadik backstory coming at some point, I would believe, right? So Nerea, very mission-minded, says, hey, we've done our part. This was what Shadik wanted us to do. Make a distraction enough for these people to do their part, so now let's go, Sophie, right? Elan notices this as well and says a very smug kind of to himself, which I like. But Sophie, again, she's a little bit more emotionally invested here with the whole Soletta thing and takes it to the nth degree, I guess. You must have them as well, Soletta. Things you want, things you'll fight to win. Like Miorine, right? You pilot that tool of murder for her, don't you? Again, very Star Wars-y. Not including the lightsabers, but very, you know, we're not so different, you and I. There's a light side and a dark side to this thing. Like, what's the best way to use this grand weapon that we have, whether it be the Force or the saber itself or any of that stuff? It feels really, it feels very sci-fi. It feels very epic. We've, again, like that opening, which I think has upped the stakes a lot and made it seem like a little bit more of a serious wartime show. We've upped the stakes as well here in these battles. It's life or death now, you know? This is important character stuff for Soletta, though, right? Ariel's not a weapon. Well, why does she have guns then? Who made this machine? Who gave it to you? All this other kind of stuff, right? Like, if she has these things in her functionality, then how is she not a murder machine, you know? It's something that you need to rack your head around, again, considering the familial connection here. You know, you've known Ariel since you were very little. She's like a big sister to me. Is she only meant for war, right? Reconciling that relationship is a big stepping stone for you and progression, I think, Soletta. Soletta ponders why Ariel was even built. What was her purpose? What was Prospera cooking over there? So then Sophie is clearly struggling. She's like hyperventilating and fucked up, but she's like, I'm definitely gonna murder Miorine, like soon, and be your little sister. And then Ariel does her part, and we see this expansion out. This kind of big force field goes out, and it kind of takes control of everything. So yeah, she's taking control of the little Gundam dudes, all the little gun bit type things that they have, and Sophie's really struggling now. But Sophie also has a moment of clarity here. Oh, so that's it. I finally see it. I can hear it. I can feel it. Finally, the thrill from that day. That beautiful voice calling out to kill me. And at that same point, we cut to Prospera, who's going to explain Ariel's true nature, everybody. So again, skipping ahead a little bit, Ariel's true nature is that it's Eri, and Eri has been made into the machine somehow. But this explains Sophie. Sophie this entire time hadn't been fascinated with Soletta. It was more Eri. It was Ariel that was calling out to her this entire time. Ariel was that big sister figure that she wanted, you know? And again, there's obviously similarities between Soletta and Eri. Let's not mince words here, but there's a difference as well. And I think, again, that beautiful voice trying to kill me is an interesting distinction when we're kind of classifying this Gundam as a tool for war, you know? So Bell here says that with the 11 gun bits, Ariel's been controlling space itself using the data storm. Now, what does that mean? So Soletta unaffected by the data storm, so it becomes clear that somebody else is controlling the gun bits, right? This explains everything, chat room. This explains why Elan sat in Ariel back in the day, well, Elan number 4, I guess, and didn't experience any of the data storm stuff, right? It's because Ariel was doing the heavy lifting the entire time, you know? You had another daughter. Where is Eri Samaya now? She's there, right at Soletta's side. So then Soletta's calling out for Ariel to stop because Soletta notices that Sophia's like gonna fucking die. Soletta, it wasn't you. The one I wanted was the space baby. Space baby's been here the entire time. Oh my god. So yeah, then it becomes a vibe of like Ariel acting out and protecting Soletta in a life or death situation and going too far in the process. Violence only begetting more violence, that kind of stuff, and Soletta not really having control out of the machine that she's piloting. That's meant to be pretty high concept as well. Extend that metaphor out, I think you'll see quite a bit as well. Beyond the data storm, she's there waiting for us. So, yeah, and again, that's what Quiet Zero is about as well, right? Finding her beyond the data storm. So yeah, how the fuck are you turning a human into a mobile suit? I don't understand how any of that works, but it's sci-fi. You're allowed to hand wave a little bit, I think. So yeah, now it feels like a lot of the cards on the table, man. I'm gonna be serious. Like, what do we even do now? I guess, like, Shadiq's still doing his whole bit. I guess that becomes a little bit more main plotty. It becomes about how Soletta, you know, kind of reconciles this information once she learns it. And Mia Rine's role in teaching her that and working her way through it, I guess. It's just an interesting structure. I would have kept a lot of this stuff for later in the show. So hey, yeah, we're going to use this same technology with Quiet Zero, using Ariel, right? Using the gun format, we're going to eliminate war and conflict. Isn't this the most... This is the most natural progression of the kind of Vanitas project philosophy, right? That wanted to be about peace and prosthetics and unification and all that other kind of stuff, right? Doesn't this, in theory, seem like the same thing? But again, I'll parrot what I said in the ED during the reaction, right? This isn't life. Life is conflict, and life is reconciling your way through conflict and finding happy mediums and learning to live with each other's differences and stuff, right? It isn't coming together into one contiguous blob human and just being one person. Like, that's not... It's not humanity, you know? So yeah, that comes into sharper focus. I think we're like literally rewriting the world using Quiet Zero, which is pretty epic. So yeah, I'm seeing like a I want to rewrite the world type thing. Like, again, I don't think you're like changing matter like I kind of theorized before. I think it's, again, it's still like controlling technology. But yeah, like it's the world that I want him to make, the world where that like Eri wanted. Is this the line here? I want to rewrite the world. For what purpose? So that Eri can be happy. So yeah, I saw it as a rewrite the world, like change everything somehow, like change matter almost. No, just control everything. That's kind of the vibe, I guess. Like a god would, but not quite creation of matter levels. After Ariel finally calms down, Soletta goes over and finds Sophie. Sophie has already passed from the data storms and everything. We saw her kind of coughing up blood before. Obviously not very good. Nerea comes over and says her little part. Don't fret, Sophie died before you could kill her. Her blood isn't on your hands. I too will one day be killed by the Gundam's curse. That's what Nerea says here, right? We're literally putting it all on the line every single time we get into these machines. You're different than that, Soletta. Think about why. Think about how frustrating that must be for Nerea. How frustrating it was for Elan in the past. Yeah. It's food for thought. And then, yeah, last little part here is that, hey, where's Nika? Nika's a terrorist. You guys are all accomplices, or at least associated. You're being taken in for questioning. So I think you guys independently found this of the whole Shadiq thing. Like, and then hopefully you guys find Nika before Shadiq just, like, steals her and she can blab and get Shaddiq out of here. But I think Shaddiq's accounted for that as well. Oh yeah, I forgot this guy ratted as well. Boo! But also necessary, but boo! We end the episode here with Soletta kind of contemplating the whole Gundams as weapons type thing. Like, how could a Gundam be a weapon if it protected Nika and Miorine and the campus too? That means that Sophie doesn't have a point at all, and I should disregard everything she said on her deathbed. But she kind of doesn't believe it. She tells herself to move forward and gain too. That same old model from Prospera, but there's tears in the eyes. I'm not quite sure that she believes all that as much anymore. There may be a point to what Sophie's saying, and Gundams as a tool for war and all that kind of side of it. Reconciling that and not just outright denying it, considering the following and moving forward from that is probably a way better kind of a point of view to have. This ED is incredible, and again, I've already said that. I'm not going to be here and repeat myself and be here forever. But Father and Child is the name of the next episode. Clearly, I think we're doing something there with Miorine. We may be doing something there with Shaddiq and his father too. But yeah, we'll leave it there. This was a longer one, but I think it was necessary. We've started this new core with a bang. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more. There's more on Patreon right now if you wanted to go and see it. Discord if you wanted to talk to me about the show in a little bit more of a chat room format. Like the video and subscribe right now or I'll come to your house. And you don't want to see me there. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.